What role does reason and logic have in faith? Hi, Alex McFarland here. Thanks for watching the Truth for a New Generation moment online. And I want to talk about the role of reasoning and logic in faith. One of our friends in apologetics is Peter Kreeft, K-R-E-E-F-T. Peter Kreeft, very famous scholar, brilliant thinker. He once said this. He said, we cannot avoid reasoning. The question is, are we going to do it well? Now, I talk to people that sometimes say, all of your relationship with God is just about faith. And if you talk about evidence for the Bible, or you talk about truth and really good precise thinking, they might say, well, it's not about logic, it's about faith. Sometimes in academic circles, I will have students or professors that really sort of give me a little slap on the wrist if I mention two big figures. One is Thomas Aquinas, the other is Augustine, because Aquinas was known to be just this rigorous thinker, and then Aristotle and Augustine, they talked about logic, and Aristotle is a Greek philosopher and thinker, the father of logic. And very often Christians will say, you don't need to be reasonable, just have faith. Well, let me say faith means trust, but the Christian faith and trust in the Bible is absolutely a belief position that has reason on its side. Now, let me give you an example, and I know this is kind of deep in the philosophical weeds, but even when you try to say, don't use logic, just have faith, that's making a logical argument. And Kreeft was right. The question is not, will we be reasonable? The question is, are we going to think and reason well? And I will prove, if I can, for a moment, that you cannot avoid using logic and reason or making an argumentation regardless of your position. Look, it is a rational universe. It is, and I'll prove it. Because when we communicate, we have to use words. And I've had many a student and occasionally a professor say, well, words don't have meaning. And then they'll talk for 5 minutes. And to try to get forth the idea that words don't mean anything, they have to use words. And then they'll say, well, logic doesn't apply to faith. And let me give you 3 reasons why. Well, it must be a logical world where truth can be known and truth can be communicated. Why? Because you have to use logic, words, and reasoning even in any attempt to undermine logic, words, and reasoning. So the question is not, are we living in a rational world where truth is known and where we're accountable to truth? We are living in a rational, reasonable world, and truth can be known. Are we going to spin it? Are we going to ignore it? Are we going to resist it? Or are we going to respond to it? See, it's a real world because you have to use the tools of realism even in any attempt to undermine or deny realism. So the good news is truth exists. The good news is truth can be known. The good news is truth can be communicated. And the good Lord gave us language and words with which to communicate truth. But the one caveat that we have to point out is when we know truth, we're accountable to respond to it. So don't avoid logic and reason, even as it applies to our understanding of God. Let's just make sure that we are reasoning well, and on this journey of thought, that we arrive at truth. I pray God's blessing on you as you pursue truth every day. This is Alex McFarland. I want to say thanks for watching Truth for a New Generation. Please share us on social media. We're on YouTube, Truth for a New Generation. We're on Facebook, Rev. Alex McFarland, and Twitter and all that kind of good social media stuff. Share us, tell friends about us, and of course my own website is alexmcfarland.com. All the radio and the digital content we create, and where I'm speaking all over North America, you can find it there at alexmcfarland.com. God bless you, reason well, and stand strong in the truth.
My Harris experience has been absolutely amazing.
People don't just come here and leave the same. You can't.
I think it's awesome. I'm amazed about students, young and older, are willing to root up from homes and come.
I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be obedient because I don't know where I'd be if I wasn't.
God has something for you. Here, come.
You will be changed.